Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the GGB Supplier Showcase. As always, I am your host, Jess Marquez, and I am so pleased to be joined today by a fresh face, a new guest, a first timer on the show today. We have Scott Nicholson, Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships with Imagine This. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Jess. Thank you so much for having me today. It's really a pleasure.
Of course, of course. And as I always say on the show, we do this show series is pretty much split evenly between slot makers and non-slot makers. And I for one like all the non-slot makers because it allows me to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit, speak to a few different people around the industry than I normally would. And I feel like the same goes for our viewers as well. And one thing that I always love at this time of year is I get to talk to all of the loyalty companies, such as Imagine This. And I just find it to be such an interesting part of the industry in the sense that I don't know. I'm a young guy. I don't really have a ton of experience in a lot of different industries, but I don't know of any other industry that has like this robust loyalty framework where these companies that have these programs for their patrons that are so interesting and so creative and innovative, as we will get into. But it's a fascinating part of the casino business. I don't know who. I'm sure there's somebody out there who could tell me was the first one to kind of come up with this whole this whole concept of giving back to patrons, and it's become such a seminal part of the industry. So now that my spiel is done, I'd like to hear a little bit more about Imagine This and what you guys got going on. As I understand, a big part of your guys' offering is the casino continuity program. So let's get started with that and kind of could you give a little bit of an overview of that and kind of what all that entails?
Yeah, of course. Going back to what you just said, you were wondering where this whole continuity thing came to be. The answer to that is actually Imagine This. Uh, back
There you
in
go.
two Back in 2001, the owners of Imagine This were young entrepreneurs. They were peddling hats and shirts out of the back of their van, and they were selling to grocery stores. And while they were selling to grocery stores, they noticed that the grocery stores were giving out all these little trinkets every week to the mothers and housewives and people coming in to get their groceries to incent them to come back in and buy more groceries. And the owners looked at that and said, "Hey, wait a minute, that's actually brilliant. I wonder if that could work in the casino industry." So they really just took it from that concept and literally began doing continuity programs in the casinos with the whole focus of increasing the number of trips that a casino guest came to the casino. Um, and fast forward 20 years, Imagine This is now that North America's leading and largest casino marketing firm. We specialize in designing and executing these continuity programs for all of our casino. We have about 350 uh, combined commercial and tribal, probably weighted a little bit more towards tribal casinos. Um, and the whole focus of this continuity program is a focus on changing the player's trip behavior. And what I mean by that is, on average, if a player in the United States casino industry, the average player trips, the number of times they come into a casino every month, is about 1.5 or 1.7 times per month. Okay. Some people come in two, three, four, others come in a half, but that's the average. And what happens is that the continuity gifting program, which is a 4 week free gift giveaway, and the 4 week product lines are a family of products that are all kind of related. And the casino will hand out one gift a week on the same days at the same time every week. So let's, for example, say it's a betting program. The first week they will offer through a mailer. They will offer their guests the bed sheets. They come in every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday and get your free bed sheet. Come in the second Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, get your comforter. Come in the third, get your sheets, and come in the fourth week and get your pillows. Okay. So now, instead of having those guests come in one and a half, two times per month, because the gift is free and it's a very high perceived value gift, they're coming in 2.5, 3, 4, 5 times a month because of this great gift. And that's changing their behavior as a guest. And the more you do that, obviously that's what the incremental part of the business is. The continuity program is by far the number one driver of incremental revenue, profits, and ROI in the casino industry. And that's how they do it. And that's where the focus needs to be on the marketing teams. Focus on trips and driving revenue, not on just handing out a gift.
Definitely. And I want to say for the record, I didn't even plan that. I didn't even, with the alley-oop with the question there in terms of where it came from. I didn't even plan that. That just so happened to be serendipitous. That's just how
Yeah.
these things go. But it's interesting, you talk about incremental trips, and I think of how, the casino industry is one in which across the US, I know you mentioned you have a ton of tribal and commercial partners. It really doesn't matter in terms of where you are market wise or what kind of sector you're in, whether you're in the middle of the strip or in the middle of nowhere, as it were, on some of these tribal properties where they're the only game in town, so to speak. But you still need, regardless of where you are, you still need those incremental trips over time. And as you said, the way that these programs are built out is a great way to do that. And I think for a lot of these properties, that's real bottom line value that they can see, that they can track. So I guess that kind of goes into my next question is like, how do the operators, how do they basically know that it's working, and kind of the profitability of these programs? How does that factor into it?
Well, great question. And you're right. Every region, every county, every state has a different demographic. And the beauty of the Imagine This continuity program is really it doesn't matter where you are, because we're also experts in data analytics. And that's really where the secret sauce is to being successful in gifting. So prior to running the event, we do what's called a predictive analysis or a pro forma. And we build a criteria of guests that we want to target. So we'll work with the client and we'll say, okay, we're going to send this mailer out to all of your players that have a 75 plus ADT. So they spend $75 every time they come in, and they're within a 150-mile mailing radius. And so they'll go into their database, they'll pull all that information, and let's say that gives us a mailing group of 10,000 people. So that's our target. We can lower that to a 50 ADT, right? Which will open up the offer group to, let's say, 12,000, 15,000 people. Now, when you do that, you're a little less profitable because the lower end people are going to spend less when they come in. But you're having a larger group of people coming in, right? In the tribal world, there's no tax. So if the average gift costs $15, theoretically, every time a 50 or up player comes in, you give them a $15 gift, you put in $50, 75, 100. So the profitability is incredible, right? So once we get the criteria down, we run the program. After every single event, we do a deep post analysis. And the post analysis is where we dive into all the key performing indicators, and we see opportunities lost, opportunities gained. How do we tweak the program for the next month to make sure that it is enhanced? And we do that every single month for many, many months until the whole program is detailed and dialed in perfectly to their specific region and demographic. On average, because of the way we approach this, on average, our clients within a 30 to 90-day period are seeing incremental revenue increases of between 250 and 600% on average every single time we run our program. So
Okay.
it's extremely, extremely powerful if it's run correctly. The key to this is not just handing out gifts, it's a process. And I can go into the specific steps of the process, on the next question or so, but that's the most important thing is marketers need to understand how this process actually works.
Sure, sure. And, I have kind of, speaking of the process, I kind of have a two-parter. I try to refrain from two-part questions, but I'll try to be as simple as I can. So basically, um, you mentioned that these programs usually typically run for about 4 weeks. Um, are they always continuously on a program? Like every month they are going into a different one? That's the first part of the question. And then the second part is, um, do you ever have to make adjustments on the fly in terms of like you started a program, maybe you're about 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, and maybe you're starting to see the effectiveness wane a little bit, or it's not quite as hitting as hard as you predicted it would. Kind of what are those? How do those two factors kind of work into
Another great question. I wish my clients asked these kind of questions, to be honest.
it?
Um, Part of our process involves the ability to have 100% domestic inventory.
Okay.
We are the only supplier in the casino industry that has 100% domestic inventory, about $60 million worth of these 4-week continuity programs ready to ship. Now, the reason why that's very important is because one of the most critical elements of scaling the business, and what I mean by that is every single month you run our program, we're scaling it up. So you run the program for the first month, you bring in 2,000 pieces. By the second or third week, you're needing 2,200 pieces because you've increased the trips. Next month, it goes to 2,600, 2,800. Okay, that's the incremental growth in trips. Um, Aside from data analytics, the most critical part of growing the business is making sure that every single person who comes in to get a gift actually receives a gift. Okay. Now, why is that? Because if they got off their couch on a rainy day, we call it couch marketing because the product is so nice, they needed a comforter. They were 60, sometimes people drive 60, 70, 80 miles to the casino. They drive all that way to the casino. They come in, they're all excited. They go to the redemption desk. They they put in their Players Club card and they're like, "Where's my comforter?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, we ran out. But here's $25 free play. Thank you very much for coming." Okay. So many bad things happen. Number one, they are very angry that you told them that they were going to get a comforter. They didn't. So now you have a very upset guest. You don't know if maybe that's a VIP guest that you just upset, right? Number two, in their mind, that comforter was $199 perceived value at retail, and now you're giving me $25. That's bad step number two. But even worse than those two, you've just destroyed their level of confidence for the week 2, week 3, week 4 trip that you want them to come back in again, which is the whole point of the program. But now next week, they're going to be like, well, I drove 60 miles last week. I didn't get my gift. If I go today, they might run out. So you know what? I'm not going to come in now. We just lost a trip. Times that by 10,000 people. Okay. Again, it's about the trip. So now the question is, well, how do we solve that problem? Well, you do it with domestic inventory. And the way that works is you initially bring in 2,000 pieces of each week's product. If the first week 2,200 people come in, 200 people are going to come up and not get a gift. But with the Imagine This program, the casino will give that individual what's called a rain check. And the rain check basically says, come back next week for the week 2 gift, and we will give you the week 1 gift that you missed. Okay. So now they got their confidence back. Their trip wasn't a waste coming to the property, right? You've changed their confidence level, which is changing their behavior to now come in for week 2. And then what we do is we work with the casino, and within 24 to 48 hours, they send us a new purchase order for 200 more pieces, and we ship that to them in time to give it away in week 2, if that makes sense. And then even now the scaling comes in. Now we know that the casino isn't at 2,000 pieces; they're at 2,200. So now all future purchase orders are adjusted to 2,200 or 2,300, so that we always have enough. And that process goes on month over month over month. We just keep adjusting the quantity to meet the redemption demand.
Sure, sure. And I just find it so fascinating how um, the human element, like you talked about the human element on all of it, and it's just so interesting to me because here we are in a business world where we have the best analytics that we've ever had. We have the science behind, our ability to kind of gauge customer demand and, volume and stuff like that. And yet, obviously things happen, this life. Um, and it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a risk. And I think that's like the fascinating part about, to me, about this side of the business is like, all you put all that work in beforehand, researching, getting those numbers right, getting the products right, gauging what you think the market will want, and and yet it's still reliant on, like you said, somebody physically getting up and going to a physical property, which in today's world generally is pretty rare in terms of most businesses now. So that's the fascinating part of this whole thing that I think is interesting is that not only are the casinos taking a risk in offering those offering those promotions, but it kind of takes a lot of work, I guess, on the part of the patron that you don't really see other areas. I
Yeah.
feel like in this type of environment, so that's really interesting to me.
Look, human nature is what it is. If
Yeah,
they love free,
yeah,
they love gotta have free,
yeah.
number one. And if the product is a high perceived, it's a beautiful product, they will come in. They if it's free, it's for me. Is kind of their mentality. Because
Sure.
they don't just come in for the get it themselves. 40%, 50% of the people come in, get the gift, and then regift it to their friends and their family. And so, especially during the holidays, I mean, you can get handbags, you can get toasters, you can get kitchen product. I mean, you can get bedding. These are all things that people can give away, you know? So, that's what we try to do. We got to keep the value high, the quality high, and we got to make sure that they always get the gift.
So speaking of the product itself, and I want to get you out of here on this. This has been really great. I really appreciate it. I'm curious as to like trends with it with the products themselves, because I know you personally have, as we spoke off air, you have experience with cookware and bakeware, which is a huge part of these programs. But has the products have the products shifted at all in terms of like what people are actually, hold on, I apologize, give me 1 second. There's somebody at my door right now and they're
Of
like
course, no problem at
they
all.
keep here, let me,
Yeah,
all right, so I'll just start from the top with that one.
yeah, no, go ahead, Beth.
So with the product specifically, I'm interested in this too because obviously, we talked a lot about it. It has to be a high perceived value product to even make these programs work in the way that they should. So I'm kind of curious. You've been in the industry for a while. You've seen kind of trends come and go. In terms of the products themselves, what types of products are really popular right now? Kind of what trends are you seeing overall? I'm really interested in that.
So again, data analytics tells us all this information, right? And we have 20 years of working with hundreds of properties. We know all we've gone through so many different product categories. We know the ones that actually are the highest performers, and we know the ones that aren't that high. The top categories are luggage, bedding, all categories of cookware, kitchenwares. Those are the big three. But obviously, you need more than that, right? Because if you're doing 12 months of gifting, you can't do those three all the time. So what we do is before we bring in a product line, we actually test it in 15 casino markets around the country, and we'll test a handbag program, we'll test a camping program, we'll test an automotive program, spring cleaning, every category you can think of, and we make sure that when they are put into a continuity program, that the casinos are tremendously successful with it. Once they show us that it's successful, it's then that we bring it in as a domestic inventory program. And then we're confident that we can now show that to all of our suppliers. I think the biggest problem that marketing teams experience is they get too focused on the product. They think the product is the most important thing, and they don't realize it's the process. It's the rain checks. It's the domestic inventory. It's the take 100% take back of anything that's left over after the event. We take it all back. So it's risk free. Okay. So they get too focused on the product, and then they start wasting weeks and weeks and weeks trying to figure out, oh, we want cookware, we want a special nonstick coating, we want a green handle, and we want a this and we want a that. And they're wasting so much of their time because, we're the product experts, and they have so many other things that they need to do as a casino operator, but yet they're so maniacally focused on the product. The properties and clients that are most successful are the ones that take that leap of faith. They allow us to partner with them and have trust that I'm going to be able to bring them over 40 product categories. They're all vetted. They're all proven successful. Why would you want to get down into the weeds and try to, you're not a buyer for Walmart, right? So the mature marketing teams understand it's not about the product. It's about the process. It's about the trips. It's about the generating of revenue. That's where the focus is. How do we do that? And then which products do you want to use to achieve all that? The Mystic Lakes, the Yamavas, the Sabobas, the Seminoles, they get it. A lot of these other casinos, they really, really do not focus on the areas that are going to drive all that financial success for them. And that's what we try to do. We try to come in and educate them and guide them, and we do our best. Sometimes, they see it. And sometimes they well, no, we want to pick our own products. And that's just the nature of the beast. We can only do so much. But when it comes to product, we're typically on trend, but it's all through evidence-based information that the data tells us, because the data never lies.
Definitely. And it's an interesting thing. I've heard that sentiment before from a few other people, where it's it really doesn't matter what the exact product is as long as everything else is in place. And I think there's just something about that idea that's so fascinating to me. There's a psychological, it gets to the core of psychology of why do motivations, incentives, why do people do what they do? You know what I mean? It's there's psychology at play there. It's kind of to me, it's kind of pure sales, I guess, or at the heart of what sales is, which I say all the time, I do not possess those skills. I couldn't sell anything to anybody, which is why I speak to experts such as yourself. But anyway, Scott, this has been really great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love hearing about all things Imagine This. Is there anything that you would like to plug or promote, anywhere that people can find you if they're interested, they'd like to learn more, etc.?
Yeah, you know what? We have a beautiful booth at G2E coming up. I'm not exactly sure what the booth number is, but I recommend anybody who's interested in learning more about continuity programs and how they can get involved in it, please come by the booth. If you want to get in touch with me personally, my email address is scott@imaginethis.com. You can check me out on LinkedIn, just search Scott Nicholson, Imagine This. You can ping me on LinkedIn. My goal and my role in the company is to work with all new potential clients that want to come into the family, understand how to drive record-breaking revenue, which is what we typically do, and do our best to give them all the tools and the ammunition they need to bring that prosperity back to their properties.
Definitely. Well, thanks again, Scott. This has been really great. Hopefully the best for you and the Imagine This team moving forward. Glad to see where things go from here.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Want to generate more revenue and profit for your property immediately? Want to do that risk-free and without a drain on your cash flow? Invite us to share how and why the Imagine This Casino Continuity Program approach is considered the #1 incremental revenue source by casino operators all over North America. As the founders of the Casino Continuity Program, our approach and our capabilities are unmatched by others, which is why our clients make the most money from our program. Our systems, resources, and approach guarantee immediate profitability within 30 days and require zero upfront out-of-pocket expenses for you. CFOs love it. Self-funding program, fully accountable, 100% transparent, and low player reinvestment. Marketing executives love it. Your best players will be excited to participate, increasing loyalty and satisfaction. CEOs and general managers love it. You will see substantial increases in revenue and profit. And we love it, a true win-win partnership approach. Our experience serving hundreds of properties for more than 23 years has enabled us to develop and implement an easy, risk-free marketing solution to help you gain the most from your best players. We can guarantee profitability because our continuity program uses a data-driven, customized approach. Every property is unique. We share the best practices from the most profitable casino operators in the industry. You don't have to take our word for it. We have plenty of happy clients ready to share their first-hand experiences with you. After all, don't we all like a little reassurance from colleagues who are in our same shoes? Weekly gifting is the fastest-growing marketing program in the casino industry. Why? Players love free gifts. Players love instant gratification. Players leave feeling valued. And players are excited to come back for their next reward. When your best players join the program, it's a jackpot for driving incremental revenue in your casino. Let's drive revenue and profit. Contact us today to schedule a presentation and start your tailored 90-day trial with our signature offering. The time you spend with us will be worth millions of dollars of profit for your property. We promise.
Thank you for joining us for the GGB Gaming Supplier Showcase, our exclusive look at the best products and services produced by vendors for the gaming, iGaming, and sports betting industries. For more information about the GGB Supplier Showcase, contact Terry Brady at tbrady@ggbmagazine.com.